The inquiry into the Post Office Horizon IT scandal has been hearing from more employees of Fujitsu after the tech giant's bosses apologised yesterday for its role in the wrongful prosecution of hundreds of sub-postmasters. Also today, the victims of another long-running scandal were told the final report of the public inquiry into what happened to them will be delayed again until May after multiple hold-ups. Nearly 5,000 people were infected with HIV and hepatitis through the use of contaminated blood in the 1970s, 80s and 90s, including Jonathan Evans.
Baby Jason, 4 days old.
He died in 1993 and his son Jason helped lead the campaign for that inquiry. Now, interim payments have been made to some of those directly impacted, but many have yet to receive a penny. And though they welcome the new rush of action for post office victims, they say ministers need to give the same level of attention to their fight for justice. Well, Jason joins me now. Jason, is the government treating your cause with the same urgency, do you think, as the post office scandal?
Clearly not. They have announced this action they're going to take for victims of the post office scandal, and rightly so, well before their inquiry has concluded. Now, our inquiry has concluded hearings last year, quite a long time ago now, yet the government position seems to be, including we had the PMQ today from MP Chris Stevens, who's been an ardent supporter of the campaign, and Rishi Sunak repeating that line, will respond at the final report. But the problem is, people are dying 1 every 4 days, and they're dying of the effects of hepatitis C and HIV. The very thing that makes this a scandal is what's killing them. Yet they're told, wait, and that just can't be right.
It's that question of consistency, isn't it? The government said in December it was waiting until the end of the inquiry and the report is published because it would be inappropriate to prejudge the findings of the final report. You buy that?
No, because we've all sat through the hearings of the inquiry. And when I say all of us, I mean the victims, the families, our lawyers, but also the government's lawyers. The government have been following those hearings. The government know as well as we do that infected blood products like Factor VIII were knowingly given to people. These products, central contracts were placed for these known to be dangerous products in 1973, but 20 years before that, in 1953, the World Health Organization warned that these products should never be made. They should not be used, but the state went ahead and did that anyway. Throughout the whole period that these products were in use, roughly from 73 to the mid-80s, throughout that whole time, it was known by the state, by certain medical professionals and by the pharmaceutical companies that those products were infected. Every single bottle of Factor VIII was infected. People weren't unfortunate here, and the government know that. So
Jason,
there's nothing to prejudge. They know the evidence.
It's not just this government. Prime ministers have been mulling over this question of compensation since Margaret Thatcher. What do you think it is that's blocking this, that's taking so long? Is it just money?
I think it's possibly two things. I think you can't ignore the money question. This is going to cost money to sort out, but rightly so. Where people have been wronged, they should be entitled to redress. I think there's a similar question here that you see with the post office, where there's talks of compensation being clawed back from Fujitsu, and here arguably the same should happen with the pharmaceutical companies, Bayer, Revlon Healthcare, etc., that manufactured Factor VIII products. So I think money is obviously one issue. And I think a second issue, frankly, is I think the state as a whole, governments of all political persuasions for many years, as you say, going back to the 80s, have avoided wanting to accept a very disturbing fact. And that fact is, yes, men, yes, women, but in particular, children, we know at least 180, possibly more, died of AIDS at the hands of the state that knowingly gave them infected blood products.
Really appreciate you speaking with us tonight. Thank you so much for your time, Jason Evans.